Okay. Okay. Hi everyone. Please, I just want to confirm that everyone can hear me, and then we'll start. All right. Thanks, Suleiman. Thanks, Monday. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Myself and Demola here. We look forward to having like an exciting session with everyone as we start the session. So as you all know, we're going to be going through how to get started with data analytics on AWS. And personally, I'm very excited about the session. When Demola had reached out about hosting this, it was something I was looking forward to, and it's been in the works for a while. So I'm happy that we're finally here to have this session. So I'm just going to go through what we'll be doing today, and then I'll hand over to Demola to start the session. So basically, we'll just go through introductions first, and then Demola will give us a brief presentation on how the AWS platform works. And then we'll have like the first Q&A from the audience. So I see people are already excited typing in the chat section. So that's really exciting to see. So we'll be taking questions as well as we go. We try to make it as interactive as possible. And I'll also ask that as we go through the session, just keep your eye on the chat. So if at any point we need people feel like they want to come up to like say something, I'll put a way for you to do that, right? So that way we can also have people like come up to the stage to ask questions or like share their views on what we've done today. What we're going to do today. So after the presentation, we'll have the Q&A, like I said. Again, I'll be monitoring the chat section so that if there are questions, we'll get them and then answer them as we go along. After that, after the first Q&A, then Demola will take us into the AWS platform and give us a demo on how we can carry out data analytics on the platform. And yeah, that promises very exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And after that, we'll have the final Q&A from the audience, right? And then we'll just talk to you about where next to go from here with this. So without much ado, I'll introduce Demola now. He's on standby to kick off the session for us. He introduce himself, and yeah, I hope it's exciting. So if it's at any point you're having issues, just let us know in the chat, and I'll definitely try to address them. And then I see someone asking if the session will be recorded. Of course, it's going to be recorded. What we have, we already have the email addresses, so we'll definitely send the link to the recording for everyone that registered for this event. So yeah, it's going to be recorded. Demola, we're ready for you.
Okay.
I'm
Let
sharing.
me just share my screen. And, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, so I need to okay, so I'm adding that to the stream now. Yes.
Are we good to go?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Wait, let me know lower this. So yes. Very good. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Demola Sanusi, and I am a solutions architect at AWS. So today I'll be walking us through how we can get started with data analytics on AWS. Jessica and I have been working on this for a few months, and what actually prompted this particular session was because we see a lot of people spending, months trying to get started, in their data journey. So the goal of this particular session is to reduce the time in which you start your data journey from months to weeks if you are committed. And this particular session is not just going to be for people that are just getting started. If you are skilled, maybe an expert with, let's say, traditional tools on analytics, this session is also for you. And if you are a business owner, maybe you want to start getting value out of your data for your business, this session is also for you. So at the back of that, we have come up with this agenda that is going to allow you see how things are being done on AWS in a modern way. So we are going to be going through why modern data architecture, what it is for you to build a modern data architecture. Is it a marketing gimmick? Also, on AWS, we don't just talk about data analytics without talking about how you can put this modern data strategy together. So here we're going to be talking about how you can get data from multiple sources and make sense out of that data. Then we are going to be talking about building modern data architectures. This is where we're going to spend a lot of the time, how you ingest your data, how you store your data from different sources and different formats, and how you run, ETL on those kind of data without spending so much time doing that, from ingestion to the actual consumption. I know we have a lot of people that use Tableau, Power BI, trying to get sense out of your data. I'm going to show you how we do this on AWS using our own business intelligence tool. Then make reference to common scenarios, how we've seen our customers, use analytics on AWS. Then key takeaways for all the participants today, then a demo. So without wasting much of our time, I'm going to start with this. I know we would have seen scenarios where organizations are keen on making, getting value out of their data. We all know that data is a strategic asset to most organizations today. And a lot of organizations are thinking, how can I get value out of my data? And it's not about just getting value. A lot of organizations are already getting value, but the time it takes to get the value out of the data is not fast enough. So what do you do? So that's why we think about modern data architecture. A lot of businesses want to get data to achieve a particular business outcome. They want to make a better and faster decision. You don't want your competitor to be ahead of you because, let's say, it takes 7 months to run your ETL jobs. So that's why the word modern is coming. So instead of taking 7 months to process your data, you can actually do it in hours by automating these processes. Another reason why businesses, try to create better business outcome with data is because they want to improve their customer experience and loyalty. You should be able to tell the kind of signals your customers are getting or giving you from data. So you want to have more like a customer 360 view or segmentation, so that once you see, the trend in data, you can be able to make decision on the kind of signals your customers or users are telling you, either internal customers within the organization or external customers. And also, you want to be able to stay ahead of your competition. Imagine a scenario where, because the time it takes for you to get value out of your data is about a year, and your competitor is getting value out of their data in 2 months or 1 month, and they know, okay, Africa is the next big place, but you, before you know that Africa is the next big place, it will take you 5 years. So what happens is that your competitor would have started and have this first mover advantage in Africa just because you use traditional means to just get value out of your data. And you need to be able to prepare for the future. If you still have archaic or traditional means in which your data pipeline operates, you might not be able to seamlessly integrate with trend. This year now, it's the year of artificial intelligence. We have ChatGPT, we have BARD, we have all these things going on. Are you ready? Can your old data architecture in your organization, Can it just plug to ChatGPT as we speak? All this is what I'm going to be telling you, how you can position yourself, whether you're a beginner, whether you're a business owner, whether you are you add more like your data analytics department in your organization, how you can change from the traditional way to the modern way. So a lot of organizations try to do this to also reduce costs and reimagine processes. You don't want to tie down upfront capital costs because you're trying to purchase server, and you want to keep scaling up forever, and eventually you probably will not still meet demand. Despite all this, there are still challenges because the volume of data we have is growing at a tremendous pace. According to IDC, just last year, 98 zettabyte worth of data was generated. And they're saying in the next 5 years, we're going to double this. So how is your organization positioning to store all this kind of data? Do you think your on-premise servers environment can handle this? And we are having a situation where we are having data from different sources. Now we have batch workloads from your on-premise, we have real-time data from IoT devices, we have streaming data from social media feeds, being Twitter. All this data, we want to be able to aggregate all of them and make sense of them at a very fast pace. And another challenge we see blocking organizations from moving forward is that they are unable to, adopt machine learning, try to build models because of lack of skills and organizational appetite for this. And of course, data security and privacy is another challenge a lot of organizations are facing. How do you meet the compliance requirement for the particular country you are? There are a lot of laws bordering data. Are your data sitting where they are supposed to sit? Are you protecting the customers' data in terms of security? Are they HIPAA compliant, GDPR, and so on and so forth? So at AWS, we don't begin to talk about data analytics without talking about data strategy. Because for you to have a modern data architecture, you first need to sit down to think about the strategy. How do you want to build this pipeline? And this next conversation is going to be talking about the modern data strategy. And at AWS, there are 3 key points on this slide you need to take away. When we talk about modern data strategy for your business, for you to be able to accelerate time to insights, and when I mean accelerate time to insights, how can you get value out of your data at the speed of light? When I started, I mentioned that it's not that organizations are not getting value out of their data. Some are getting, but by the time you get the value, it's already, it's more as useless because your competitor is ahead of you. So these are the 3 key points you need to note for your organization when you want to design a modern data strategy. The first part of it is modernize. How are you modernizing your infrastructure? Can your infrastructure scale when the demand comes? There's a particular customer that during the pandemic, they needed to provide more like oxygen to the US government. Maybe they produced like maybe 600 in a month, and they needed to scale, right, to about 20,000 in a month. So they needed a visualization platform where they can connect to suppliers and make those decisions around the world. The traditional on-premise tool they were using couldn't scale to meet that demand, number one. They moved on AWS. They were able to scale. And when the pandemic went away, they were able to scale back down. So ability to have that flexibility to meet demand when you need it and, reduce your consumption when you don't need it. It's a superpower, not because of you adding value to your customer, but you also save costs. Imagine you bought thousands of servers just to meet the demand, and the pandemic is no more for now. We don't know when that's going to come. So what are you going to be doing with those extra resources that you might never use in 50 years? So you need to start thinking about your infrastructure that can meet your demand at the speed of light. And for certain countries, some countries have financial constraints where people start, moving to the digital platform en masse, and they start having issue to service their customer because their traditional method can't meet, the demand of the customer. The second point that you need to be thinking when you're thinking about modern data strategy is you need to think about a way of unifying all your data. How can you bring all your data together? Structured data, unstructured data, you need to make sure that you have a one view, a customer 360 view for your data so that either the data scientists, the data analysts can start making sense of that data. So you're not building data in silos. If you build data in silos, it leads to high cost, it leads to inefficiency, it leads to complexity for the IT technical team that will be managing, your old data structure. And the last thing that you need to consider when it comes to modern data strategy for your business is innovation. So you need to be able to design a strategy that will allow you innovate. I mentioned earlier on, how are you preparing for the latest trend, the AI trend, the machine learning trend? Your on-premise environment or the structure you have today, can you run large models on them? The question is for you to think about. So, without wasting much of our time, I'll be going to how you can build modern architecture. For people that are just starting, you can see the synergy. For people that are already in the system, maybe you use one analytics tool or the other, you'll be able to relate with some of the services we use on AWS that can help you achieve your goal. So at AWS, this is the way we think about modern data architecture. We go from the data warehouse architecture, where you have a data warehouse where everybody runs to kind of query and get data, to more like a lakehouse architecture. So when I mean a lakehouse architecture is where the services and tools for analytics fits in. So the data scientist is consuming the data, the same data the data analysis is consuming. The business owners or the decision makers that need to get insights to are plugged in into the same set of data without much breaking down your data into silos or having different data analytics tool for each personas. So we start from the source, and if you remember, I said you must be able to unify all your data. So we've provided technology that can allow you ingest all your data into a particular source, which will be like more like a data lake kind of repository. So for people that are just starting, a data lake is simply a central repository where you store your data, any kind of data, structured and unstructured data. That's what a data lake is. And yeah, from your data lake, you can have different things consuming data from the data lake. It can be your databases, whether SQL or no SQL databases. It can be your analytics tools. It can be your data warehouse. And it can also be your machine learning, where you build and train your machine learning models. Then you can have different kind of people consuming processed data. So it can be data analysts trying to generate month-end report for the business owner. It can even be the decision makers trying to spool this data themselves. So what kind of services or tools do we use on AWS to represent this? So this is what it looks like on AWS. So on AWS, we have what we call the Amazon S3. Amazon S3 actually allows you to store any kind of data. It's an object storage. So most of the time, the organization use this for their data lake. So it allows you to store data at any scale. So you're not running to the limitation of storage limitation in terms of capacity. And when it comes to price, it offers the best price performance among its peers. So for this, we have the AWS Glue, which is going outside now. AWS Glue is our data integration service that allows you to ingest data and store it in the data lake. For AWS Glue, we have different flavors to this. And just to point out that all the services here from AWS, they are serverless. And when I mean serverless, it means you don't need to manage or provision any infrastructure. At AWS, we help you with this undifferentiated heavy lifting so that we can have that headache of you managing or provisioning infrastructure will be our headache, while you can focus on your business, more like innovation, more like strategy. So your technical guys, your IT guys, they are not, doing things that would have probably add more value somewhere else. So AWS Glue has different flavor. We have the AWS Glue Studio. The AWS Glue Studio actually allows you to run ETL jobs without code. Yes, without code. I've seen situations where people write scripts and it can even take 7 months just because they are writing scripts to transform a particular set of data. I'm going to show you this during the demo. With the AWS Glue Studio, it's just a friendly GUI, graphical user interface, where you just point and click and you start running your ETL. As simple as that. Within minutes, your ETL jobs are up. And the interesting thing about this is that you can monitor. You don't need to spend months writing scripts. And that's why I mentioned that for people that are just starting their journey in data analytics, with this, it can reduce your learning time from maybe 6 months to a few weeks if you are committed to learn. So AWS Glue has another flavor called AWS Glue Data Brew. What the AWS Glue Data Brew is, it's for machine learning experts, for data scientists. There are situations where you need to clean and normalize your data. You know how long it takes for you to clean and normalize data so that whatever, the quality of your data affect the quality of your decision making, because that's what you're going to be plotting your insight against. For AWS Glue Data Brew, we have over 250 plus transformations that you just need to click. They are all GUI without you doing the extra work or trying to manually clean and normalize your data. And the last feature or flavor of AWS Glue I'll be mentioning is what we call the AWS Glue Data Catalog. So what the AWS Glue Data Catalog does is it allows you to crawl data. You have structured and unstructured data stored on the object storage. So it allows you to crawl it for schema and metadata so that you store it on the data catalog without moving the data from the storage. And from there, people like Jessica that likes to query can start running some select statements on the data catalog without moving the data. And you can also have, BI experts. You can use our own BI service, Amazon QuickSight, to get visualization from the data, or you can use whatever vendor you are comfortable about. And the interesting thing about this is that there's no vendor lock-in. It's flexible. You can use whatever tool you're comfortable about. But the interesting thing about all the services here is that it is serverless, so it goes with your modernization strategy. So you don't need to think about managing and provisioning any infrastructure. So before you start this journey of data architecture or strategy, there are some key conversations you need to have, with your team, or if you're just starting out. So these are just processes you follow to make sure that you're doing things in a standardized way, and you're not just trying to just say, okay, we do this ETL. So you have a reason why you're doing what you do. So if you first need to define what is the business value, what is the objective, why are we having a data analytics department? What exactly are we doing with this? And you start thinking about the kind of people you want the data to be accessed by. It might be the business owners. What do they want to see in the data? Do they want to see the region they want to go to? Is it the data scientists? Are they trying to build some models out of our data so that we can use ChatGPT? So all those questions are the kind of questions you need to also ask yourself. And also you need to be able to identify the data sources. So are we checking Twitter to make decision? Are we checking LinkedIn? Are we checking Salesforce? What CRM tool are you checking? So you need to be able to confirm the data sources before you start this architecture and strategy process. And when it comes to data storage and access, you need to be able to say who are the people that are going to access this data? What level of permission are you giving them? Where is this data going to be stored? Is it going to be stored in a particular geographical location because we have compliance requirements? These are questions you need to ask yourself. And you need to also know the data processing parts. How are we processing this data? Are they going to be dirty data? Do we need to do quality checks? So these are all the questions you need to ask yourself for data discovery and the step, going into the modern data architecture. Jessica, any questions so far from the chats as I can see? Okay. So if there's one
So,
thing I want,
hi,
okay,
Jamal. Okay,
yeah,
sorry, I had to bring myself from the stream before. So, someone was asking what you meant by building. So I'm going to show it. So it says, "What do you mean by building data in silos?" Though someone had answered it already, but if you want to throw more light on it, it will help.
building data insights.
Yeah, yeah. Like, what do you mean by doing that? Yeah.
Okay. So insight is more like getting is more like visualizing your data. So let me break this down. You know, you would have seen situations where people use Tableau or Power BI or ClickView or ClickSense. Those are visualization tools in which people use to get insights. So insights can make you make decisions. You'd have seen all those big boards where people check trend online charts, or you have a pie chart to just see what percentage of a particular country, what is happening there, or you have a bar chart. So those are ways in which you have different visual types to be able to give insights either to decision makers or to the business owners. So that's what I meant by insights. Okay.
So the question, I just need to clarify. Okay, so yeah, it said okay, silos not inside, silos not inside. Okay, so the question was what you meant by building silos. So it's
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So when I mean silos is now, according to IDC, a lot of organizations have
Yes.
different data silo. So for different personnel. So let's say we have the marketing team. Marketing team will have their own data analytics, more like their data store and analytics need built for marketing. Sales team will have the same thing. So if you're having a targeted, data store and analytics to a particular team in a particular company, you're already creating silos because they are not all connecting to a centralized data store. So what modern data architecture and strategy is saying is that you should be able to aggregate data into a particular centralized store so that either the marketing, sales, finance team in your organization can all get value from there. You not only reduce costs, you reduce inefficiencies across board. So that's what I meant by data science.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. So I would on feature this. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The other questions I think we'll address them like later on. So because people are trying to find out how they could use AWS to like learn But I think we'll address that when we
Yeah,
get to that part. Yeah.
yeah, sure. So, if there's one thing you need to get out of this session today, this would be the most important screen. Everything is important, but the sequence of how data transform through different stages, especially when you're building a data pipeline, is what this is going to be about. So I'll be making reference to this page till the end of this presentation. So we have different processes from how we ingest data to where you store your data to how you catalog your data to how you process it, consume it, and how do you make sure that you're securing your data. Either you want to apply some encryption on it and you want to make sure that it's meeting compliance requirements. So I'm going to be speaking to the AWS services that actually does what for each category of all these layers, 6 layers. So the first one is going to be data ingestion. So data ingestion is basically, I started by saying you have data in different, areas. So let's say you have data with different subsidiaries in your company. They might be databases, they might be CRM, they might be anything. And you want to ingest data. So you are bringing data in for people that are new in the field. How do you do this on AWS? Please don't be scared with this architecture. We're just going on the services on the ingestion layer to just see how we bring in data into a particular data store. So there are different services on AWS in which you can use to do this. In a situation where you have streaming workloads like real-time data, we have what we call the Amazon Kinesis that can allow you ingest data. And there are situations where you might need to consume data from third parties. We have a lot of situations now where fintech actually consume data from third parties through APIs. We have what we call the Amazon App Flow that can allow you ingest, APIs into your data store. And when it comes to databases, you might want to move data from your on-premise environment into AWS. You might not want to leave your on-premise data source, but you just want to ingest data as they change. And you can use AWS data migration service just to say this also supports change data capture. So meaning it just ingest data that have changed from the last time you ingested. And for flat files, we have what we call the AWS data sync, which allows you to bring in, file shares into your data store. And we have an interesting thing called AWS Data Exchange. This is actually a site owned by us that you can go. We have some paid data sets and free data sets. So part of the things that delays companies or organizations to make decisions is because the time it takes for them to search for the data sets they want to use. So let's say I need a data set on COVID just to make business decision. Someone can just start doing research, going all months. It can take weeks and months for you to just even get what you want. But if you go on this particular AWS data exchange, you can see free and paid data there, and you just choose the data set you want. It might be like NASDAQ for the stock exchange. Maybe you want to see stock prices from the 80s to now, just to make some kind of decision. You see all those data sets using the AWS data exchange. And from there, you can ingest data from there seamlessly with any of our analytics services. And when it comes to AWS Glue, which I mentioned, it's our data integration service, which is also serverless, that allows you to run your ETL jobs. And you can also use it to ingest real-time or batch data. So the second part I'm going to be going to now is the data storage. The data storage has to do with where you store your data. And I told you that the whole situation is going, or the whole process now is going from the data warehouse kind of architecture to lakehouse kind of architecture, where a lot of companies are having data lake, which allows you to store any kind of data, either structured and unstructured data, and you can start querying that data right from the store. So typically we use what we call the Amazon S3 for this. So you can see that we have the raw data from the left. From the raw data, you can process the raw data. Maybe you want to run some ETL jobs on it, or you want to check for, you have data quality concerns. So you can do that and have more like a transformed or structured or curated data. And from there, you can have Amazon Redshift. Just to say, Amazon Redshift is our purpose-built data warehousing service that allows you to run complex analytical queries. So I know Jessica, as a data analyst, you can start, running your query here right from the data warehouse. We have a querying tool you can use. This also is serverless. So you're not installing anything on your PC. You just go on the portal, click and launch it, and it works. That's the way it is. We are going to show you how the interface is during the demo. The third So the third one I'm going to go through now is the data cataloging layer, which is, how we can identify schemas, how you can discover your data and store your data in a data catalog. And what actually does this, which I've spoken to before, is the AWS Glue data catalog. So this allows you to crawl your data so that you can identify the schema and store the metadata, which you can reference and you can start using to make sense out of your data. And the fourth one I'm going to be talking about now is the processing layer. So how do you process your data? In case you have big data processing requirements, we have the Amazon Elastic MapReduce, which can help you in case you want to run maybe Apache Hadoop or Apache Spark. Amazon EMR can allow you run this. And for ETL jobs, the AWS Glue can support this when you process your data. And when it comes to data consumption, who are the people consuming this data? It can be people, it can be machine, it can be services. We have plethora of services that can consume from here. You can start having your data warehouse, you can have your databases, you can have all different kind of services that can consume from here. But for the purpose of this session, I'm going to be focusing on the visualization part, which is Amazon QuickSight, which allows you to visualize your data, and it's a serverless tool. So we also have AI services that can be plugged into it. We have different AI services that can address your need from speech. For instance, we have the Amazon Poly. Amazon Poly allows you to, transform speech to text, and from text to speech. And we have the Amazon Transcribe. Transcribe allows you to transform speech to text. So you can integrate this into your mobile app seamlessly when developing, maybe an application for your organization. And the last thing I'm going to be going through is the security and governance. When it comes to security and governance, you want to be sure that you are not, going against the regulatory guideline in your country. So we have different services that allows you to make sure that you are abiding to the requirements. We have the lake formation, which allows you to create your lake data lake in days rather than months, and allow you to schedule permission level on how users are going to access your analytics services. We have the AWS Glue data catalog too, where I say you store the schemas and metadata. And we have what we call the Amazon Machine. Machine is actually used to discover if you have like personal identifiable information stored in a particular data store. So you want to be sure that For some countries, IPA, it's very, very important that people's information are not exposed. So you can use machine to check if you are meeting this particular guideline. And we have the Cloud Watch tool, which allows you to make sure that it monitors your infrastructure just to make sure that you are doing the right thing and your infrastructure is meeting demand. Basically, it's just used for monitoring. And we have the AWS Cloud Trail. This can be used to audit your infrastructure. Auditors can come. Are you sure that this person is not accessing what? And it might be somebody intruded into your infrastructure. Are you able to prove who did what? AWS Cloud Trail can help you do this. So during the demo, this is what we are going to go through, where there'll be a sample CSV file for, I'll say, a fictitious company, where we have their sales file. And the sales file is going to be stored in the Amazon S3 bucket. And I'll show you how the AWS Glue can run an ETL job on that sales job. And after that, you can decide to query that sales job, one. And after querying it, you can also decide to use Amazon QuickSight to visualize. So excuse me. So for different people on this call, this is what you need to focus on depending on your role in your company. So we have the personas to the left and the AWS data services you need to know on the right. So I'll leave this here. This will bring me to the end of the presentation just before the demo. So you can take screenshots, you can look at this, and let's see. Okay. So Jessica, do we have any question?
Yes, we have quite a number of questions.
Okay.
So I'm just showing one now on the screen. So the person is asking for a company. Okay, can you see?
Should I stop presenting so that I can see?
No. You can still show that. So I don't think we can see it like in the studio, right? But I think so. But can you see anything showing like from Monday or show for Monday? Yeah.
Okay, Monday.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay.
For a company that wants to build ETL process for analytics, which is recommended between S3 and Redshift, what differences should the company bear in mind before making a choice? Just to note that Amazon S3 is a storage service, even though Redshift is, but Amazon S3 is used for, more like a staging area for your data, where you can have all kind of data, structured and unstructured data, stored there. So you can run ETL, right, on top of your data on Amazon S3. And depending on your size of your data, so if you are using a particular database for your data warehousing solution and it can't handle your current need, Amazon Redshift is a purpose-built data warehousing service that can allow you run complex analytical queries. So it's not all queries you can run on Amazon S3. So there's limitation to it.
Thank you very much. So another question from Solomon Balogun. So he's saying, can you define like what a data lake means to him in simple terms? Because I know a lot of people tend to confuse data lake, warehouse, data mart.
So a data lake is, simply put, a central repository for data where you store all kind of data. So that's what a data lake is. Traditionally, people might have a particular database. Okay, SQL database, no SQL, no. But a data lake is saying, bring all your data here, then we can start figuring out what to do. And some people can start making sense from your data lake. So data lake is, simply put, a central repository for all kinds of data.
Thank you very much for that.
Um,
Let me
Let
see.
me attend to Ikena. Ikena wants to take a screenshot.
Okay.
Just okay. Ikena, can you see the screen now? So if you're just starting your data journey, this particular screen is going to be very important to you. If you are an expert in the field, maybe you have some traditional technologies you're using and you're fitting into any of these personas. The AWS data services here are some of the things you start focusing on for you to accelerate your learnings if you want to start using AWS.
Okay, right. Someone is asking what's the difference between a data warehouse and a data warehouse, and I think he needs to revisit the question. Yeah. Okay. So there were other questions that had to do with having to like create a free version of the AWS account for them to practice. So I think that would come in the demo session, and that's like the first thing Demola will talk to us about. Because I myself am also like eager to like get into the demo session as well. Okay, so Rhyme, I'm just waiting for you to refine your question. Once you do, then we'll just Demola, do you want to take like a brief break or
Yeah, so maybe we can start at the top of the hour for the demo session, right?
okay,
If that works.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. All right, so okay, sorry. So just one last question. So Rhyme is asking data warehouse, data lake. What's the difference?
Oh, okay. So I would say as I mentioned, a data lake allows you to store any kind of data. It's a central repository that allows you to store any kind of data, structured and unstructured data. While a data warehouse, you have more of processed, structured, and semi-structured data. So a data warehouse can't store any kind of data. So because that's where people like Jessica go and start, querying data and start giving their, the stakeholders information. So that's the difference between the two.
Okay, so I think we're good. So everyone, so we're not stopping yet. So we're still getting to the exciting part of the session where we will where Demola is going to take us through the AWS platform itself, and everything that he has talked about is going to show us how to do it live. And if you want to follow along, it's also advised that you do so because I have like two screens, so I'm going to be also be following along on the other screen on my side. So we're just going to take like a 7 minutes break now, yeah, and we will. I will probably just put some music on, and then we'll be back for us to start the demo session. So if you need to take like a toilet break, drink some water, yeah, just get your laptops ready. We would You can do that now. I've gotten a lot of questions about like the slides being available. So the session is recorded, right? So you can always go back to look through what Demola has presented to us, right? So it's not an issue. Yeah. So we'll see everyone in 6 minutes now. Yeah. So if you need to take a toilet
Just,
break, yeah.
just for a signposting, the
Mhm.
next section, I know a lot of people use Tableau, Power BI. For people that do that, I want to show you something on AWS called Amazon Quick Sites. that can allow you to visualize your data, even do forecasts. The forecast, you don't need to crack your brain. We have machine learning models that can allow you forecast what will be my sales in the next 14 months. We have a ChatGPT like feature. Yeah, I was talking to Jessica, last week, and she was like, "Oh, every month end, she's doing a lot of reporting." Like, you don't need to do that. Your business owners can actually go to this embedded link and just type, "What is my sales in the month of June?" And it brings out the chart for them. I'm going to show you that. So those are the things to come in the next hour. Thank you, everyone.
Nice. All right. We're still here, guys. 5 minutes now. All right.
Yeah, bye.
Okay. Thanks everyone. So we're back now from the short break. So we're gonna start the live session in a bit. Again, I think I like how we've been going with the questions. So as you have questions, please keep asking them in the chat, and then at intervals, we'll have them shown on the screen for us to respond to, right? Yeah. So Demola, over to you. Yeah.
Okay, I'll be presenting my screen now. Let me know when you can see. So, can you see? Jessica, can you see? Just to confirm.
I was on mute. Yes, I can.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for others to please let us know if you can see the screen, because like this is like the important part of the session. So we want to make sure that everyone follows along, and then you ask questions as we go.
Okay. So I'll just,
Okay.
give like an high level explanation of what we're going to be doing during this session. We spoke about the whole modern data architecture and how you should start from how you ingest your data. So there's an assumption here that there's already a data store we're going to use, which is Amazon S3. Um, if you don't have an AWS account, don't worry, you don't need to bother yourself. And in the Amazon S3, what I'm going to be showing you is how can you run an ETL job, without running code. And if you have like people that can run the, maybe Spark job and or Python on your particular, data, that's fine. R. But the purpose of this is to show you how you can do this seamlessly, which can reduce the time in which you use to learn to be a data analytics expert in quotes. So after showing you that tool to run your ETL, which is AWS Glue, and put it in the processed bucket or data store, I'm going to show you how you can start querying your data from there. There's a service called Amazon Athena. You can use Amazon Athena to query your data right from there. So if you don't have an AWS account, you might not be able to follow through that sequence. But the last segment of the demo is the visualization part, which well, Jessica can just ask. Maybe we have a lot of business intelligence people here using Tableau and Power BI. So for that, I have a sandbox environment that once we get to that stage, I'm going to send the link to you. You can use our pre-populated data sets, to start testing out the visualization using the ML tools, using the AI, within that console. It's a sandbox environment, it's free. It doesn't need to be from an AWS account. So the first segment where we run an ETL job and query data, if you don't have an AWS account, you won't be able to do that. But for the second part, where the visualization comes in, I have a link for a sandbox environment I'm going to send to you. So that's it. So if you have an AWS account and you're logged in, not the region can be anywhere based on. So region is basically like physical location where you want your data to be stored. So I'm just choosing US
Hi,
now.
Demola. Sorry, just sorry to cut you. Can we just quickly go through, like, just go through high level how to just do the creation of the account, just for anybody that might want to do that, if possible. Yeah.
Okay, let me just
We might need to do like an incognito window because I think you're already logged in here, right? On this one.
okay. Mm. So it's something you can try later. You don't need to, do that now. So if you go on the aws.amazon.com, this is how, please, it has to be protected. So you don't go to a spoofed domain name. And you see all this. So you can click on free accounts. Please don't be mindful so that you don't put on servers and at the end of the month they tell you are owing AWS some amounts. So you don't need to, if you don't know your way around, you don't need to click on anything. But if you want to create an account, this is how you do it. You create accounts. Notes, you have to have a credit card to sign up. So basically, you have a root user email address. It's just like a primary user ID when you're, signing up to your new laptop or so. So with your root user email address, you put your email address and what you want the account name to be. So once you have done that, you verify your email address, and once you click on the link that will be sent to you, it takes you to the page where you can now attach, your credit card details, your billing information, your location. Then you're good to go. I don't know if that makes sense, Jessica.
Yeah, I think that works, like high level.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Someone is saying you can create budget alerts. I don't know what that means, but uh,
That's very advanced. Yeah, for people that
okay,
just want to monitor their costs so that it's lasts you in case you're passing a particular threshold.
okay. Yeah, but again, just a disclaimer, like if you don't want to get charged, please don't turn on servers like Demola said. You can just go ahead, like create, because I created mine and I'm trying to also monitor it as well to make sure that I don't get charged. Yeah. So for as many that have and want to follow along, you can. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, um, for people that are in, so we're going to be starting where, so we're making this assumption that we are ingesting data from, you know, from a source. But for the purpose of this demo, it's going to be from maybe your local PC. So if you have maybe like a CSV file where you have data sets, you can use that. I'm going to show you my. So what you need to do is you can come to services or just type S3, Amazon S3, which is a data storage service. So once you click on Amazon S3, as I'm doing here, it takes you to the page. So Amazon S3, basically, it's where you store all kinds of data. So the first thing you're going to do is to create two kind of buckets. So buckets here, just see bucket as a folder. So for me, I've created these two buckets, which is sales data raw, like the raw data without ETL, and sales process data. So if you check the sales process data, you can see I have nothing there. And if you go back to the raw, I've already uploaded a CSV file. So for you to create a bucket, what you just need to do is to, Jessica, you can always stop me because I know you're following. You come to the top right-hand corner of your screen and click on create buckets. So know that the bucket name must be unique, because we have to make sure that it hasn't been selected by any other user within the AWS environment. So let your bucket name be unique. So it can be Jessica raw. You can put your name, raw data. Then you put your region. So region is basically the physical location where you want your data to sit. So it's more like the data center where this data will sit. So you can just sit at the comfort of your house and you're saying, well, I want my data to be in Asia. So as simple as that. So you leave everything as default. You don't touch anything. Then you create buckets. So you'll be creating two kind of buckets. The first one is where your raw data will be, and the second one is where the process data will be after you've done more like an ETL on your data. Jennifer, when you're done, okay, let me see the charts to just know. Okay. Okay. Are we all good there? So if you've created the two buckets, the next thing is to, just select a file within your PC, a CSV file that has, we have a lot of data people on the call. So you can just select a CSV file for the purpose of this demo that you can use. Let me see if I can see one to share.
Yeah, how to stream. Sorry. So I think some people are still doing the sign up process. Someone was
Please
asking
use
if you
your
can
email.
use his work email.
No. Okay. Jessica, have you created the two buckets?
Yes, I have. But I was saying, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry. Someone was asking here. 'Cause I think some people are still like trying to do the create account process just so they follow through, right? So someone was asking if you could do a sign up with, I don't know, work email, but I don't know how. It is Amazon
Yeah.
work email.
Well, I won't advise that. Yeah. So,
Okay. So if you can just use your personal email since it's a free account, yeah, just you can just use that. Like I said, if you think you want us to go through anything, um, please let us know. So sorry, apparently it's a CSV file. So I think any CSV file you have on your system should work for this, right?
yeah. So where we are going to be updating the CSV file is going to be the one you labeled raw, depending on the name you've given it. I showed you that the process is empty. So for mine, it says data raw. I've uploaded it. So if you want to upload a data more like in the bucket, which is a folder, you just come to upload and you click on add files. So you can come here, you can see my CSV file, you click on it, you open it, it's added 1.6 MB. Then you leave everything as default, then you upload. So once you're done uploading, you see a green prompt where you close, then you should be able to see your CSV file. Not sure if, okay, we can't update anything into the chart. Yeah. You need it. You need two buckets because one is going to be for the raw data, the raw CSV file. I'm trying to show you how you can apply some transformation to the raw data. Then the process data is going to be saved on the second bucket for ENAC. Okay, so maybe yeah. So I agree with Ade Bosipo. Yeah. So for you that are just, trying to open your account, you can refer to the video for steps so that we can just go through this seamlessly. So after you've updated this, Jessica, just confirm if you've updated yours so that we can move on.
Yeah, I have to add myself to the stream every time. Yeah, so you
Oh, okay,
can.
okay. So we have the sales data here. So the next thing we want to do, remember that we said we're going to run some ETL jobs on our data. So it's just going to be a light one. So it's going to be AWS Glue. That's it. So you just type AWS Glue. And what we are trying to do is to run ETL jobs. So for a situation where you don't have people that can write script in your organization, what you just need to do is to come to the AWS Glue Studio option. If you click it, it goes to the interface. Then from this interface, you can create your ETL job. So let's say view jobs. So you can see it has different options. If you want to write your own Spark code, you can do that. If you want to write uh, your own Python shell script, you can do that. And for Jupyter Notebook 2 is also supported. So for people that can't do that, doesn't mean you should not be able to, create your own ETL jobs. That's why I say the time it takes for you to get started on analytics on AWS can be reduced from months to weeks, depending on how often you practice. Then I just click on create. So I have this GUI. You can put this, there. Let's say the ETL job is going to be data. Okay, let me just, you can give me any ETL job you want, ABC job. So you click on that pencil icon and give it a name. Then you just select your data source. Where is the source of the data? It's S3 bucket. You remember we created an S3 bucket? Then you select the S3 bucket location. The location here is you browse Amazon S3. So you can see the sales data raw. That's where the location of the source data is. So I select that and choose. So from here, it automatically identifies, even the formats, or you can decide to change the format if you want. Go to the schema. So this is the source. So you can see that it has identified the format is on CSV, different things. So just leave everything as default. You can try to check the schema here, the source schema. You might want to change the data type if that's what you want to do. Or if you have some partitioning in place, you can edit. But this is just showing you a simple end-to-end how you can run through the source to consumption part of your data pipeline. So after that is done for the source, you can decide if you want to run a transformation. Let me just confirm that we're all good here. You can decide if you want to run a transformation. So this is where the transformation comes in. Do you want to drop some rows from the data sets? Do you want to add a particular string type that you still want the data to retain its originality from the source, but you want the process one to match whatever transformation you might want to apply because of the people that will consume it. So we're not going to be applying any transformation here. You can decide to test and drop some, right? Okay, let's say I want to drop the role ID. I just click on drop. So it will apply that transformation. That's the only thing I want. So from here, you can see what the output schema is going to be. And how do you want the processed version of your data? How do you want it to look like? So here now, you can start selecting, the formats. What do you want the output format to be? When you're querying data, when you store your data in columnar formats, such as Parquet and ORC, it allows you to query faster, because at times, and when you partition, you don't need to query the whole data sets, but you just query, based on partition. And columnar format reduces the size of your data. So if I put it in Parquet, for instance, we're having 1.6 MB as the data size. It will not be that after converting or applying this transformation. And you can decide to choose the compression type. It can be snappy, it can be gzip, depending on what you want. Then you browse for the location. Excuse me. So for me, my second bucket is named sales process data. I choose. Let me know if we're good there.
I have a question.
So if you want to have a catalog, okay, go on, Jennifer, Jessica.
Okay. So this part where you choose the target location, right?
Yeah.
So you go into your S3 buckets browse. So I have the file, I have my second bucket named here, and then I choose it, right?
Yes. Then you choose. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I think I didn't
Yeah.
do that. Okay, so I think we're good. Yeah.
So it will select all this, and we have different flavors to glue. So mind you, see, we're already running it an ETL job in minutes. Rather than imagine we want to use script and maybe 5 days, we have still not known the right script to use to even do like basic transformation. You have the data quality session. You don't need to go here. I'm just showing you this. It's a new feature that allows you to add data quality transformation to your data. So it might be if the name and the date of birth is not there, drop the data, don't process it, don't send it to the end, the process data, or stop the data processing. So you can give all those kind of command. So after this is done, all check green, you can decide to create a table in the catalog, right? So a table is more, from your select query, how you select the table, then the database. You select the database, then the table in the database. So that's basically what this is for you to be able to query the data. So what you do now is um, you select. So you might need to create a database. It's just maybe 30 seconds, 1 minute. But what I'll do is let's just go on without the data catalog so I don't veer you off the screen here. You click on, after doing all this, you save your job details, ABC job. Can you go to job details, Jessica? Once you're in job details, just click on IM role. So this particular identity and access management role is saying that allow the AWS Glue to be able to access my storage service. So you are giving this service permission to be able to perform this ETL operation on your storage. Then you can leave this as default. This is just talking about the kind of version Glue supports Scala and Python, depending on the language. And you can also produce a script for this. So if you want a script now, you can generate a script that, okay, maybe you want to do some modification to it in case you have expert that can run the script. After this has been done, you can now save. So you have your job name, you've selected the role for it, which is the AWS Glue service role. Leave everything else as default, then you save. So after you've saved your job, you can now run the ETL job. And you're running the ETL job. So from running, you can go back to the left bar, try to check jobs. You can click on ABC jobs and see, you can schedule that maybe you want the ETL job to run at certain intervals of frequency. Maybe data drops into your data store every night and you want it to check maybe at the end of the close of business or close of business, you want it to check. You can create schedule for that. So basically, that's you running that, and you can monitor your job. Like if you go on the AWS Glue Studio page, you can monitor your job. So this is the job I've just done. It's 100% success rates. It will show you the data processing unit that was used, one. So you can see I used the Glue ETL. So depending on what. So all this gives you like an eye level visual to what is happening. So if you have a failure now, it will tell you there was a failure. So this is what I did some days ago. You can see glue job succeeded. You ran in 1 minute. If you want, so if you have larger file that you want it to run faster, you just need to increase the capacity and worker type. So if you're just getting started and you're doing this, just know that you're already running an ETL job. You know what people take months to do or weeks to do. So for you to be able to master this, you need to practice and learn more. So it's just the guidance of the art of possibility on AWS. Jessica, are you saying 100% too? Have you been able to run the ETL job?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, so yeah, I have, right? But I just want, some people have like questions from
Okay.
what you've asked.
Okay.
Um, though I don't know if we've answered. So Winston had a question. So he was saying, can you have more than one CSV file in a bucket? Which, yeah,
Right.
I think is
Right.
valid. Yes.
Yeah. So just see a bucket as a folder, right? And the files will not be the files in your folder. Just imagine you creating a folder on your desktop, then you start adding all sort of files. So that's what the bucket is. Buckets, then you have multiple things in the buckets.
Okay. Sorry. For a company that shows, okay, let me just. So it says for a company that wants to ingest data periodically, at what point do they have to create a crawler for the data catalog?
At what point do you have to do what?
Create a crawler
So
to the
what
data
you can
catalog.
what you can do is, you saw that when we were creating our ETL, let me just put it here. When we were creating our ETL, there was a place where we had the option of, creating a catalog and how often you want it to ingest. So for crawlers, it has frequency. This is the crawler here. You can create a crawler, you know, let me say crawler A. You don't need to do this, so that we are not everywhere. That's just to answer the question. Then you select the data source. Let me put this. Let me do next. So you can see the crawler. The crawler has on demand. So it means you come here, you start it, it crawls the data store. And you can have the frequency. Maybe you want hourly. So I can say crawler run every minute, run daily. So it has frequency from here. So you can crawl to get the schemas and metadata. But mind you, if you so you are maybe you're thinking about costs. You don't want to use maybe daily or hourly if you're not sure. So if it's something that is not of time, it's not time specific or time bound, just do on demand. So you just come and call the crawler when you need it. So that's for it for the crawler. So one thing I would like to show us before we move on is under the date. So if you come, I know from the AWS glue, if you just come to the left bar, just click on databases and click on add database. So let me just say glue DB, just name it anything. Yeah. So where I'm going here is to be able to add tables to this DB, so that we'll be able to. I will be able to show you how to query. So for tables, I can just do add tables. Let me say add tables using crawler. Okay. Okay, I didn't create. Let me just add tables using crawler. Add tables using crawler. Yeah. You can just name it crawler, then not yet. Glue DB. Okay. Let me just add the table. Query table. Created the database. We created the database here. This is the table here. Let's say glue DB. The key source, our storage type is Amazon S3, where you have the data stored, and this is your account. For people that are not really technical, sorry that we have to digress. We're coming to the interesting part, which is the visualization part soon. So you browse for your data source, which is the sales data raw, and you choose. The data format should be in CSV. Then you click on next, then create. So now we have our database, we have our table. So since we haven't had our crawler setup, so the crawler is what goes into the source and check for the schema, right, and metadata at intervals. We can now add the crawler. We can set this crawler up and do create crawler, test crawler. Next, then we can select existing table. Let me see. Okay, on demand, then create crawler. So we've created the crawler. So what you can do now is, can you go back to just type Amazon S3 in case you're not using multiple screen? And check your process data. So we run an ETL job using AWS Glue here. You must be seeing something in your process data. So you can see that I changed the file formats to Parquet in Communal format, and you can see that this is saving me some size from 1.6 megabytes to 411 kilobytes of data. So in the real sense, I allow you that Parquet can even allow you save up to 70% word of space. In real life, you are actually reducing your storage size. So this is done now. The next part is to show you how you can query your data using what we call Amazon Athena. So what you need to do now is to come to our services page and just search for Athena. ATH, yeah, Amazon Athena. That's what it's called. So you click on it under services, Athena. So Athena allows you to query your data, easily while your data is in the data lake. So you can start using all your queries, whether select queries, you can prioritize query, you can automate query using Amazon Athena. It is pay as you go. As I said, you don't need to even install any clients on your, on your PC, and you start getting all this information. So if we had finished, added a table successfully to the catalog, this is where you're going to see it under Amazon Athena. You see the table here, then you can run your select query here. But for the purpose of time, because I want to focus more on the business intelligence side, we are not going to be going through Amazon Athena in full scope. But in the real logic, we've been able to store our data in Amazon S3. Use Amazon AWS Glue Studio to transform the data depending on what you want to do. There are complex transformation there too, which I told you can use AWS Data Brew to do. And after running that ETL job, you can start querying your data using Amazon Athena Query Editor. Run select query. And that will be it for the first part. So now let's go to the second part where we want to start getting some insight out of our data. Can I post a link on the chat? Okay, I think I can.
Yes. Fine.
Excuse me.
So for this part, right, anybody can follow along, right? Because you don't need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Demo Central. Let me just paste the link on the. Oh, I can paste something here. Okay. Let me just send it to you so you put in the chat. Can you see it?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So the last part of this today's session is going to be the business intelligence side, which is Amazon Quick Sites, how you can visualize your data. So you don't need to work on the link yet. So let me just show you from like a production environment, then I'll walk you through how you can do that using the Demo Central page. So this is Amazon Quick Sites. Amazon Quick Sites is where we have all, you can query your data to get some visuals out. So typically, if you want to, after setting up, if you want to add a new data set, you can add. And if you want to use an existing data set, like what we've just used, you can also use. So I'll be using my SaaS sales CSV file. You can have multiple data sets. You can decide you want to check market of whatever thing you want to do. So it's going to just be new data sets and upload your CSV file. These are the different kind of data sources you can connect to, from Twitter to Jira to Salesforce to Databricks to Snowflake, either in AWS or outside of AWS. So after connecting or loading your data sets, what you just need to do next is to now use that data set for analysis. So let me say I want to use this for analysis. So I will use SaaS sales as let's say a fictitious company where we want to generate monthly business review for the stakeholders, and I'll try to create an interactive dashboard for them. And I click on create. So what happens is, let's say I want to just check for the sales and order dates, how sales and order dates, did, for a particular time frame. We have what we call the auto visual. If it's on auto, it's automatically select the visual types based on your field list selection. So I'll just say sales and order dates. So remember that I'm trying to do like an MBR report for the stakeholders. So what I'm going to do here is I have to change, the date to be months. So instead of day, so I'll change it to months, and you can see that it's months. So it's showing me the sums of sales over months. So with Amazon QuickSight, it can start telling you where you have abnormalities. So you can see here, it's saying that there's abnormally for a particular month, which was November 2023, that this was higher than expected. So you can get all those insights without trying to even check yourself what is happening. And after this, let me just go back to the visual type. Yeah. So after this, I can decide to add the forecasts. That, okay, based on this trend, what will the forecast or projection for your sales be in the organization, so that you can plan, right, for budgeting and all sorts. Then you can decide to add forecasts. So this actually uses our integrated ML model to predict what the future can be. We all know that the future is not sacrosanct, but oftentimes it can rhyme. So what you see here is the sales stopped at December 2023, and this is showing us what the trend can be for the next 14 months, if you can see the forecast here, and showing us the expected price or sales for that particular month, and showing us a range. Well, if it doesn't go with the expected, this is the highest it can be, this is the lowest it can be. So that's the range in terms of forecasts. Excuse me. So other things you can do here also is you can decide to add insights to your sheets. So if I have a sheet here and I just want to add insights, I'm preparing for presentation, I don't have time trying to do all of this. We have automatic insight that you can just add to your board and just give the stakeholders this decision. So nobody is trying to figure out what on sales. Then you come here, what is the month over month change? You add to your sheets, like this is also on your sheets. So again, if you remember that I said the purpose of this session is for me to show you how you can do things faster. Imagine you are getting this figure faster. So maybe normally you take 2 days to figure out of this, but because you have like a machine learning model assisting you to just give you insights, you don't need to spend 2 days. You're just spending a few hours preparing a report or dashboard for your stakeholders. And let's say this is all what I want to show to the stakeholders. Of course, you can decide to make it nice depending on your preference and say, okay, let me use the midnight theme for this. So it all depends on what you want. Then you can share this particular sheet. Like let's say I want to publish this dashboard. Publish, and I'll say MBR. So I've published my dashboard. So in just a few minutes, I've been able to show you how you can publish your dashboard. And the interesting thing is that you can schedule where you want this dashboard to be delivered to the stakeholders. So maybe based on your data source, this figures changes, it refreshes every night. You can schedule that deliver this by email to the recipients below. And it will give them a nice paginated reporting kind of PDF sheet or on their screen. They just see this every morning. So from the dashboard, they already know what they are looking for. So you don't need to do a lot of work every month just because you are trying to create a particular, dashboard or reporting for the sales people or for the marketing people or for the finance people. So now, I haven't shown you how this works. If you have been able to open the link Jessica sent, this is what you see. So before I go to where you'll be able to do that here, I would just like to show you what we call the AWS Quick Sites queue. So the Quick Site queue, so this is still my data set. Mind you, this particular sandbox environment have data set, so you can play around with it. The Quick Site queue allows you to ask, your data natural language, ask questions in natural language. So this is what the end result of the dashboard will look like. I can say, show me monthly sales. So you can embed queue to your stakeholders. It might be a portal in your organization. And your CEO is just looking at this just by writing whatever he wants to do in natural language. So he doesn't need to be looking for an analyst to always do things for them. So anybody can do this. And the beauty about it is that interactive dashboard, embedded analytics, and natural language query all comes in the same unified interface. So you don't need to go to a particular user interface to do something else, or you need to skill up some people to be able to deliver natural language query. I might say, okay, so you have all this because these are the questions I've asked, so they are cached. So I can say, why did the average sales increase in 2022? These are natural language, query to your data sets. So you can see. So this is more like my own ChatGPT performing the job without you trying to make inference or insights, which delays your time to insights. So asking this question, you can see all this populated. So your executives can use this if you embed the Amazon QuickSight queue in their portal. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Okay. Sorry. Can we take a question?
Okay.
Yeah. Someone's asking what's the level of customization on QuickSight.
And so
So like
okay, go on.
so like I know like on like the other visualization tools like Tableau, Power,
Yeah.
I don't know, Power BI, like you can
Yeah.
like you can do a lot of fancy stuff in it, right?
Yeah.
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 But for me, like from what I'm seeing already, like I think like it's already there to be in terms of customization. So I think it's just trying to get like how far can we go like in terms of like creating custom visuals.
Oh
That's
yeah,
my
you can do that. At the core of it, Amazon QuickSight helps you with to start interactive dashboard. So if you can see, I know interactivity makes dashboard interesting. So for this now, I have all the regions, EMEA, APJ, and so on. Let me say I want to see all the numbers for, let's say, APJ. If I click on APJ, I'll click on this and click on APJ. The whole board filters to give me information about APJ, right? And filters it based on their segment, SMB, strategic, and enterprise. So interactivity, we have control filters, we have parameters. So the customization goes to the level of competes, with other tools you might be using today. Yeah, I'll just put it out. Okay. So I've shared this with you. Now you can. So if you want to experiment on your own, you can come to. You can just come here. You come to dashboard demo. Of course, you can explore all these other ones, but come to dashboard demo. The data set I used is SaaS sales. So you can come to start sales, click on start sales. This is the dashboard that has been created. So if you want to analyze, maybe edit something here, you can edit the analysis on the left tab here. Then it loads the analysis page. So you have the analysis page. You can decide to start formatting the visual type. Maybe you want to do year on year instead of month on month. You can start playing around with this and getting other dates. So if you want a plain sheet, maybe you want to demo what I've just done, just come to the top here and click on the plus sign. So this, you don't need to worry about it. You can play, you can do anything you want to do, no charge. It's a sandbox environment. You click on the plug sign, then you click on interactive sheets, then you add. This is new. So I would say I want to do sales just based on what I did from the previous page. That's my production environment. Sales, then you click on other dates. So you can see the sales and other dates. If you want to change the visual type, you can decide to change the visual type here. So what you have to do here is, I told you that the other dates, I want to focus on months. Then on the field wells, you can change it to months. Then if you want to now play with the forecasts, you can add forecast to your visual type. Then you see the forecast here. Yeah, so my session expired. So I don't know if you were able to all follow doing that. Jessica, were you able to get that?
Yeah, I was. Sorry, I'm just reading questions. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, so
Okay,
let
so
me just have their questions.
Winston says thanks. Monday. Okay, so Monday. I think this was before. It said, how do you add triggers in case of abnormal ingestion? Oh, sorry. I think I missed this. I think this was related to um
AWS Glue.
AWS Glue. Yeah.
Yeah, you can add triggers for alerts depending. If you are someone that use AWS well, you can even trigger a Lambda function to do something else. It might be maybe you want to send it to another service for processing or for just for them to check what's going on. And there are notifications too. You can add notifications to it. An email is going to be sent to you that this particular job failed or wasn't successful. Yeah.
Okay.
So another link I want to share is the QuickSight community, and this is focusing on people that are interested in using the business intelligence service. When you start learning, you can go to the QuickSight community to, let me send it to Jessica. So you can go to the QuickSight community to ask questions. So you register and sign up there. And once you sign up, anything pertaining to QuickSight, you want to build your first dashboard, you will always be assisted. So these are the visual types here. You can create a new page and click on add. For now, I can say, okay, I want a KPI. I can say, okay, KPI on sales and other dates. So this is the KPI on sales on other data from December 31, 30, right? So December 31, this is the difference in price. There was a reduction. So I can decide to format this and create some customization that I just want the value to show. So it just shows me, the decrease in price, and maybe you want for that particular month. So you don't want comparing month on month. I just want what is for December. I can just show actual and just show me, well, you made $714 here. So it's not like you made money, but you're just showing this. So you can do different things. Let's say I want to check sum of quality by order date. So I can just duplicate this to this sheet and change this to quality. So you just come to the field wells and change this to quantity. Yeah, quantity, I mean. Then you can see that the sum of quantity by order date for December is 23. So you can play with different visual type from pivot table to pie charts and so on. And if you don't know what you are trying to visualize, you can just leave it at the default. The autograph will help you select. So basically, that's it. So we're at the top of the hour. I'm trying to be mindful of our time. I hope this made sense. If you're just starting, I've been able to show you how you can get started quickly, without trying to learn codes, just signing up, playing with all these services. Most importantly, knowing the service that suits your area of interest. Maybe you want to be a data engineer, maybe you want to be a data analyst, data scientist, or you want to be just someone that wants to focus on the business intelligence side. This is for you, and also for business owners trying to show you how quickly you can get value out of your data insights. This is for you, and for people that are using traditional, or ways of doing their own data analytics. I hope you're able to gain something from this particular session. Uh, I think that's all for me. Jennifer and I will coordinate to see the next steps from here and how we can better support the data community. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Demola. I was joking with Demola that I hope he was ready to talk for 2 hours when we started. And yeah, like he's done a very, very good job in terms of teaching us. I'm going to add what they call it now to my CV, ETL, because I've run a successful ETL job today on AWS School, and I'm grateful for that. Just before we end, I'm just gonna share. We just want to get like your feedback on this session. So for as many that are still here and just have like some time, it's just gonna take like 2 seconds. Wait, let me see screen. Okay, share. So if you can just scan with your phone and just go to this session. So it's just one question to just ask how the session went. Did you like it? Or are you indifferent, or I don't know what the last one is? Oh yeah, or if we could do something better. Well, yeah. So if you can, just leave your feedback here for us. And like Demola said, we'll definitely try to host like more sessions like this, and hopefully like have something more intimate in course where you can come up to ask questions, because I know we had like quite a big audience today. Yeah. So thank you everyone. Please leave us your feedback on the poll. Just go to slido.com and type this, or you can use the QR code. Right.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
I'm gonna email everything to you guys. So the recording and the links that Demola shared with us, I will send all of that to your email. Not to worry.